Meeting to order. 2:06. You gonna give blessing?
Sure. Please stand for the blessing. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed on us as people and as a nation. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our Cherokee people, and we ask for your guidance in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Sir. Rex Jordan. Here. Leo Smith.
Here.
Bill England.
Honey.
Rick Austin.
Here.
Bud Kaiser. Joe Bird.
Honey.
Sean Crittenden.
Honey.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Frankie Hargis. Wanda Hatfield.
Honey.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Mike Shambaugh. Mary Bakershaw. Here. Denise Taylor.
Here.
Victoria Vesquez. David Walkenstick. Ryan Warner.
Honey.
We need to vote for.
Need approval of the minutes from October the 23rd.
So moved.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? On the reports, Management Resources, Mr. Bruce Davis.
Good to see you, Bruce.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Bruce.
Always good to see you. Hope everyone enjoyed their buffalo burger at the last meeting. Was it good?
Very good. Very good.
Glad y'all came. Thought it went real well. I know you have our report, so if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them at this time.
Anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Bruce, I know we've talked about the pine trees before.
Yes, sir.
Are we still, are you handling that, or is Karen Ketcher handling, try to get something done?
Well, I think Sarah's here today.
Sarah, okay. Sarah,
So-
okay, all right.
I'll let Sarah answer that
Okay.
question.
I have a comment. Bruce, probably on the south side of where we keep our bison, buffalo,
Yes, sir.
we have that land leased
Yes.
now. It's probably around maybe a couple hundred acres.
Okay.
Would you check and see when that lease is up?
Okay.
And if we wanted to get into the cattle business, that land there would be fit for what
Okay.
we're trying to do.
Okay. I'll
You
check
know,
on it.
for the amount we've got it leased for versus what we could make,
Okay.
if we're gonna do a partnership with somebody like one of those tribes there in the northeast,
Right.
look into that and see what, just do the feasibility on it and see what that would take.
Okay. I'll do it, Joe.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet.
Any other questions?
Comment.
Go right ahead.
I just want to tell you, I appreciate, since I've been new, that you have really helped me out on 2 or 3 things. And
Okay.
I appreciate your effort.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Bruce is great about that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Rex. Real Estate Services, Ginger Brown Reeves.
Good afternoon. I think you have my report. If you have any questions, I will be happy to address any questions.
Go right ahead.
And this may be yours, I'll try it, I guess, Ginger. The Chilocco grounds, the school grounds itself, do we have a piece of that, or is that the other 5 confederated tribes?
That's the 5 Confederated Tribes, and I believe that our Secretary of Natural Resources will address any questions on that.
Thank you. I have a comment.
Okay.
Ginger, last month, we talked about the listening sessions for Land and Trust. We're all going to be out in the west, and how come we didn't have input? Well, we actually did, because I think our chief went and testified there before
Yes.
Congress for that. I just saw that in Cherokee, Phoenix. We did not know that, but, so we did have input.
We did not receive a notice as far as any particular type of listening session for a fee to trust, or we would have attended.
Okay.
And, but I believe that he did, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chase.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had
Harley?
Ginger, this may not be in your realm, but on that clinic in Jay, has there been any movement as far as talking to the people that have been interested in it?
The former clinic?
Yeah.
Yes, I talked to him about 2 weeks ago. They are still trying to get a good estimate of what it will take for them to get in there. the fire system, all of the, what needs to be done to it in order for them to
Okay. So
open
there's
up.
still some interest in it.
Yes, there is.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? That's Ginger. Did good.
Thank you.
Environmental programs, Mr. Elkins.
I'm going to do a combined report.
Okay.
So I think you have the written report from environmental programs. If there's any questions about the work that they've been doing, I know they've been doing some sampling out of Lake Copan, Lake Oologah. They'll be putting that data together and uploading it to the EPA website like they always do. So they've been continuing the good work that they're always doing. But if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to take them. The Secretary of Natural Resources office, we've been busy as usual. I know that you may have seen our Fish and Wildlife folks out at your different community meetings. They just were up with Councilwoman Vasquez, and also at the Veterans Day event that we helped, the Fish and Wildlife Association helped co-sponsor, and that was a really good event. So we've been busy planning those events and making sure that we have our staff where we can get them. Also, our solar canopy is nearing completion. It will, we'll have a ribbon cutting this month, I think, on the 17th. I think is when the ribbon cutting is going to be, and I'll be sure that all of you get an email about that. We're really proud of it. We've already done some test driving with some Cherokee Nation employees, and they say pretty much the same thing every time. I had no idea these were real cars. They really move when you hit the gas, and they've really enjoyed the opportunity to drive them. So I already feel like this is something that's really going to have big benefits. And we're going to have a ride and drive event the day of the ribbon cutting, or we're planning to. We're going to have several different electric cars that employees can come and take a little test drive and see how they feel about them. So we're happy to have that opportunity on the ribbon cutting day. And then this over the weekend, and thanks to Councilman Lay, who forwarded the email to me initially about what was going on at Chilocco, that whole situation popped up on my radar screen, and I've been busy becoming as big of an expert as I can be on what's going on out there, and contacting as many tribes as I can. I can just sort of give you a general update if that's what you want, or take questions. So I went through the environmental assessment that they posted. This is the Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Division, and they are the ones who are wanting to do this study at Chilocco. The actual work will be done by UML, University, I forget the acronym, but it's an OSU, Oklahoma State University folks. It's a lab that is run by OSU. Will be coming out to actually do the work if they do the work at Chilocco. What they're proposing to do is to do two different tests. They'll spray an aerosol into the air near two different buildings at Chilocco. They picked 4 buildings to do repairs on. They had to bring them up to code and install HVAC systems in them. And what they want to do is spray an aerosol, and the aerosol has titanium dioxide in it, which is found in sunscreens and other things like that you buy, makeup. And then it also, they want to spray this urea compound, which is used as fertilizer, and what they call an optical brightener, which is a chemical that's used in things like Tide and toothpaste to bring out the white in something so they can find it more easily. And those are the chemical agents that they're proposing to spray out there. The biological agent that they want to spray out there is a bacteria that is used for like organic gardening to keep pests away. It's a bacteria that's used in agriculture, and that's the biological agent that they want to spray out there. What they're trying to establish is how this bacteria moves in the air when it's dispersed as an aerosol. So they will better understand how something like if someone had an anthrax mist, how that would disperse. What should you tell citizens? Should they go indoors? How much protection will that give you? Should you leave your air conditioner on or off? Those are the kinds of things they're trying to determine with the testing at Chilocco. And it was chosen, they say in their EA, because of its uninhabited. It has large apartment buildings, which is the type of buildings that they want to test. So that's what their EA says they're doing and why they're doing it. There are some significant concerns with their Section 106 work that they've done out there. Section 106 deals with historic preservation, and Chilocco is a National Historic Registry area. And of course, I don't have to tell any of you the history of Chilocco. So they did contact, or they sent letters to the 5 tribes that own that piece of property at Chilocco. But what they told them was that they were talking about the rehabbing the houses, rehabbing the apartments and the things, the buildings of Chilocco. That's what they were told about. We've contacted or tried to contact every TIPO office for all of those tribes, and we got responses. We were able to talk to people at 2 of the different tribes, and both of them expressed concerns about this. The Tonkawa did. I think the Kaw have concerns, so we're trying to get an idea of what are the tribes' feelings, the other tribes who actually own this property, what are their feelings about it? And I think there's significant concern in all of those different tribes. We have drafted a letter through our TIPO office to send to Homeland Security, giving them our various concerns about the way that was done, their failure to contact or to consult with Cherokee Nation at all on that property, and that letter will go out today. So we will hopefully be getting more from them. There's still documents that I want to collect from them, and I would really like to sit down and talk to them in more detail about the work that they have planned at that site. And so I will continue to work on this and be sure that I keep you informed about what's going on at Chilocco.
Yes, Sarah, when were they planning to do this? Did they have a date?
They don't have a specific date. They have, I think it's June, July of 2018, and then maybe December, sometime in the winter, like in the late winter of 2018. So if that's
So we've got some time.
Yeah, there's some time, and they have to get a finding of no significant impact. So this is a public comment, and they're accepting public comment until December 8th. So any one of you individually can make a comment, and then the tribe, of course, itself can make a comment, and we'll be working on those comments as we continue to consult with them and get more information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that's what I hope that you would do. Appreciate that. Appreciate your fast work on it. One of the items that caught my attention from the alumni group, and I think you've got that too, is the detonations. I'm not sure exactly what they meant by that, and they didn't know either. Apparently, there have been detonations at the facility, and of course, these are historic buildings. And so I wonder if you could ask what in the world they're doing with that. I appreciate it.
I absolutely will. The contract that they have with OSU, with this lab that OSU operates, I think it's allowed for several different types of testing before. And one thing that even online, there are pictures of some of their employees like in Tyvek suits up at Chilocco. And I don't know if they were training or what they were doing up there, and I just don't know anything. We were never notified about any of this, so that's something I will definitely be asking those questions, and I couldn't say as to what other types of work might be done out there.
One of the things that struck me was, of course, this started at Oklahoma State University. They spun off an LLC, which is that UML, and the UML now is contracted with the Department of Homeland Security. So it's about a 3 or 4 step. It's from the Confederated Tribes to OSU to UML to Department of Homeland Security, and you wonder, did the Confederated Tribes know each one of those steps was going to happen? We didn't, so
Right.
they probably didn't either.
Well, and at least 2 of the TIPOs that we've talked to personally both expressed, that they had no idea that this kind of testing was going to be going on out there. They understood, their comments were based upon the fact that they were going to be rehabbing these buildings, which they did not have an objection to. They did not know the second part of it, that this testing was going to be going on out there.
When you rehab a historic building, isn't there a lot of steps you have to go through to make sure you do it correctly?
You betcha there are, and there should have been in the consultations. Even in the lease, there should be information about anything like that you do has to be up to the Secretary's standards. The Secretary issues standards about rehabbing these types of buildings, and I don't know. I don't know if those rules were followed. I don't know if the lease contains the information. There's a lot of things that I don't know. Sharing with you everything that I do know about the situation, I'll definitely be getting more information as time goes on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes, Sarah, I wanted to ask you, I've noticed the last week, I guess it is, that there have been a lot of postings about the waste dump that we have in Adair County, I believe it is, and about the increase of cancer going on, especially now with small children. Have you followed any of these?
I was made aware of them, that there were some Facebook posts and that sort of thing about the Cherokee Nation landfill, which Cherokee Nation has operated for a long time. There were some videos floating around. Those videos are, to the best of my knowledge, between 7 and 8 years old. This was back when the landfill was under different management, a long time ago. The landfill is required to do testing around the perimeter of it. There is testing done every quarter to make sure that there isn't any seepage from the landfill. There are systems in place to be sure that the water that is collected in the landfill is dealt with in a way that is required by law. I have had people raise questions about cancer clusters, not just in Adair County, but in Cherokee County as well. There have been questions brought up about that, and we had a meeting with some parents of children who have cancer to discuss those issues with them. And I also, Sohail Khan from Health came and attended that meeting to talk to them. And I think that there's a lot of statistical work that has to be done to identify a cancer cluster, as I understand it. And you have to look for certain things. And those sorts of things are usually done by Oklahoma. They're the ones that have the access to the data to do those kinds of statistical studies. And so I know that Sohail was working to try to get Oklahoma to use some resources to come and take a look at some of these issues going on in Cherokee County. I certainly cannot say that there's a cancer cluster or that there's not a cancer cluster. I think that that's just not something that I have any way of knowing. I do think that it makes sense to ask Oklahoma to use some resources to look at it if it's something that people are concerned about.
Is there any way you can ask for an environmental review from the state of Oklahoma regarding this?
I don't know that it would be an environmental review. I think it would go to the state health folks, the public health folks, who keep a cancer registry, and they keep track of cancer in all the different locations. And that would be the data that they would use to try to model and see are the cancer rates in a county in line with what other counties in that area are. And if so, and if they are, then that lessens the likelihood that there's a cancer cluster, but not necessarily, because if you see the same kind of cancer in a small location over and over again, that can also be a sign of a cancer cluster. So this is public health stuff way outside my area of expertise.
May I ask how many children or families of the children were at the meeting?
There were probably, I think I've got the sign-in sheet. There were probably between 10 and 15 people there. Representing probably, 7 or 8 children, parents would come. And we just talked to them about their concerns, and all of them, of course, had heartbreaking stories about, their children having to live with cancer. And I mean, I'm certainly, I'm as concerned about that as everybody is about that. And if there's something that we can do to help them, I would be glad to do it.
Can you tell me about this dump we have? How long have we had it? How long are we going to keep it? And are we being paid for the usage of this?
The Cherokee Nation landfill has been open for many years. It started with, I think, the Mankiller administration, so it's been at the area a long time. It's a municipal landfill that's been, it's operated, it takes trash from Adair County and some of the other surrounding counties. It is not a big operation. It's a relatively small operation that takes mostly local trash. There is a wind down plan for the landfill. Every landfill needs a start date and needs an end date, and it needs to be managed for the end date. And so that is something that we've been working on since the landfill is transferred back to Cherokee Nation, is coming up with a wind down plan. You can't just go in and lock the gates of a landfill. You have to, if you do, you have so many days to come into compliance with all EPA closure rules. So closing down a landfill is not an overnight operation, it's a long-term operation.
Is this the one that Tyson is connected with their dump, their waste?
If Tyson ever took waste to the landfill, it was many years ago. I don't know anything about it today.
Personally, I grew up in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and up until I graduated high school. And I don't know of one child that ever had cancer, let alone 7. I mean, in one small area. I'm personally horrified by this. Anything we can do to help close that down, I would recommend we do so.
Well, let me say the landfill, I said the landfill is a regulated landfill. It's not just like an open dump in the middle of a field. It has a liner. It's engineered. It has regulatory requirements that it has to meet and environmental requirements that it has to meet. And those families that came to me did not live near the landfill. They were Cherokee County families for the most part. And some of them were from the Keys area. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You got to do a comment? Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Yes, sir. You and I talked, and I appreciate you listening with me. I just wanted to clarify it for people who may be watching. Now, you're talking cancer cluster, then we were talking landfill. Now, those are 2 separate things you're talking about, right?
Yes, those are 2 separate things I'm talking about.
And you and I is discussing just like right now, all of the testing. You test, and I've been down there several times.
Right.
That's, they have to do that testing, and it's monitored a lot.
Right.
And methane gas is what's produced
Right.
in the air, which
Right.
like you and I discussed, is not really a cancer-causing gas, right?
More of a global warming issue than it is a cancer issue.
So that's two separate things, but in your expertise, like I said, the folks watching, it has been kind of there has been some discussion going on about it, but in your expertise, the testing covers all of those worries.
Yeah, I mean, the landfill is required to do testing and to be sure that everything that's taken there is, there are certain types of waste the landfill can take, certain types of waste the landfill cannot take. And they have to monitor for that and make sure that they're not taking waste that's inappropriate. So it is a regulated sanitary landfill. It comes along with all the things that landfills come along with, the smell, the birds, the blowing trash. Those are all things that are fought at the landfill on a daily basis, trying to deal with those issues.
Just the cancer cluster and the landfill thing, just to be clear, they're separate.
I am certainly
right?
not saying those are unrelated. The families we met with were not even from that area. They were from Cherokee County primarily.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to say. I read the article on the cancer cluster deal, and we're talking Ottawa, Delaware, Cherokee. So it's just not Cherokee County. It was like, well, actually, it might have been the one below Cherokee too. So there was like 4 counties that there was a high risk in for that, not just Cherokee County, 4 counties.
Right, and with the caveat that I'm a lawyer, certainly no kind of doctor, and I'm not a public health expert, so this would be better. Some of these questions are, Sohail was at that meeting. He's got the right qualifications to answer specific questions about cancer clusters. I do not. If you want me to investigate something, I can certainly investigate it to the best of my ability.
Good. Yes, Sarah, start with Chilocco. I didn't know that we had ownership in any of the buildings there. I knew those tribes in the Northwest when we first split this land up back in the 80s. I remember Don Crittenden, he was on council at that time. He and a few guys went up and we ended up with some prime property. And there's where we have those wheat fields, close to 5,000 acres from what I remember. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Still have those leased out.
Yes.
I know it's a long trip there, but if you council members have not been there, it really wouldn't hurt to go see what we have there. That's some of the most beautiful property that I think any tribe would have there, where we have the wheat fields there. And but as far as the buildings, I didn't know we had ownership in any of the buildings.
We do not. All of that property is owned by the 5 tribes in that area, the Confederated Tribes.
Yes.
And they own the grounds and the land around the grounds, immediately around it. Cherokee Nation, our ability to comment is based upon that being in our treaty territory, our historical treaty territory. And also they've drawn a district for that area. This is the registered district, this historic district, and it does clip a piece of our trust land near the gate where you go into Chilocco. So there are various reasons why under Section 106 we still have a right to comment on this and should have been notified, but it doesn't have to do with our ownership interest in it, in the surface.
Okay. And on the landfill, you're one of the very few people, maybe the only one, since I've been on the council back in the 80s, that's given us a start plan and a closing plan. And that was good news. Because you have those Candy Mink Springs right under that mountainside. You have rock fence and you got low water bridge that goes into Lease Creek there. There's where I was raised. And I always thought it was a bad deal in the beginning. Why build a landfill in the heart of Indian country? If they want a landfill, how come they can build in the middle of Tulsa somewhere? It was not ours. I mean, they can do what they want, but I'm talking about Cherokee. So anyway, when the administration brought this forward, I thought it was the craziest deal that ever was brought to us. Put a landfill right in the most beautiful part of our Indian country there.
It is beautiful out there, and there's a retention pond up there, a stormwater retention pond in the spring. I'd almost kayak that pond. It's so beautiful up there. Right. And it is. I totally agree that it's a gorgeous area. And the issue is going to be, it's going to be a long haul trying to close it, and we're going to have to find out how is Adair County going to deal with their trash, because they're used to the landfill being open, and that's who takes the trash for Adair County. And there have been tons of issues in Adair County with and without the landfill, with people just wildcat dumping, just dumping stuff everywhere. And how to deal with the solid waste issues in Adair County is going to be a long-term challenge. But everything that starts must end, and the landfill is going to have to end eventually.
We have at least 10 years to plan, though.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for that for that report.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Candy Meat Springs, it no longer exists. I mean, the last time, isn't it pretty well contaminated? Have you seen it lately? The last time I've been through, it's
I'm
not
through there all
usable
the time.
anymore, so.
It's not good.
It was like, it had some filmy, I mean, I've just heard it, you can't use it anymore, and I think for many, I don't know how many families used it, but I think it's.
I know that it was an important spring to a lot of people.
It was.
And the water quality throughout the Cherokee Nation is in a state of degradation. And that's something that's another battle that we have to fight, because it's not just one spring. It's all the water in Cherokee Nation. Most of our waterways have various issues, nutrient pollution. There's a lot of different issues within the Cherokee Nation we're going to have to get some help from our neighbors at the state of Oklahoma to deal with those issues. It's going to take some cooperation.
Harley, do you have a question?
Sarah, I'd asked Bruce about the pine trees up there in Delaware County. Have we made any progress as far as doing anything with them?
As I understand it, there's a plan to try to get some grant money, some forestry money to thin those trees out. That was what my understanding of it was. Other than that, I don't know of anything.
Okay, would you check and give us a report on it next month of where we are and what we can do with them? Because I've been on the council here going on 9 years, and this has been brought up 9 years ago, and we're still being done. So just find out and see what needs to be done in order to get those pine trees thin. I don't care if we do anything else other than go in and cut them and thin them, but see what the answer is to it. The other thing that, and this is a completely different subject, I want to talk a little bit about the canopy out front here where the cars are going to be charged. Is the canopy necessary to be there, or do you know?
Maybe give me.
The charging station out front. The reason I'm bringing this up, we had spent several $100,000 on the appearance of our complex here.
Right.
Make it look, and it looks nice. If you're over there at that fueling station, look, all you're seeing is the top of that canopy. Whoever did the planning on that certainly did not take that into consideration, and I'm just unhappy with it because it takes away the beauty of what we were trying to make beautiful. And I was thinking, if we didn't need the canopy, it'd look better if it wasn't there, in my opinion. So.
Well, reasonable people can disagree about stuff like that. I will say there was some thought put into making sure that it matched the brickwork. So there's brickwork at the base and capstones that match the brickwork there. And I think, as to aesthetics, reasonable people can disagree about, whether or not something adds to the beauty or not.
And the other thing, I looked and there was a place to put it behind or even behind the buildings here. I don't know who does the pre-planning, does their 20-year plan for the complex. Usually, when you have a complex of this size, you have a planner that looks at this stuff for 20 years to see what you're going to be doing. To me, that just takes away the beauty of what we just got to spending millions of dollars on. You could have put that charging station out back. People could have walked in out of the rain and stuff like that, but no, they put it right in front of our building here. I don't like it, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I suspect in 20 years, there's going to be a lot more of those canopies everywhere, is my suspicion,
Well,
as
they
electric
can be out
cars
back in
become.
place as far as I'm concerned, in front of our building.
I understand.
Any other
I
questions?
don't know how anybody else feels about this, but, if you don't say anything like this, they'll put another one right out front here, probably. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Any other questions for Ms. Hill? Thank you, ma'am.
Good report. Thank you, Sarah.
Old business, none pending. New business, none pending.
Really, that's quick.
Yeah, next meeting's tentatively scheduled for Monday, December 11th at 2 p.m. I need one more motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.